Greetings! We are here to discuss about Desuggestopedia. Alright, so Desuggestopedia is a teaching method developed by a Bulgarian psychiatrist called Georgi Lozanov. In the 1970s, it focused on removing learners' psychological barriers to learning by creating a relaxed, positive, and engaging classroom environment. Through the use of music, art, drama, and comfortable settings, Desuggestopedia aims to enhance memory and accelerate language acquisition by tapping into the brain's natural learning potential. Do you hear that music? What you're hearing right now is the method I use when studying for exams. The music playing is a classical music by Bach, and it's part of a technique connected to Desuggestopedia, a learning approach that uses music to create a relaxed and focused state of mind. So I will be playing this music till the end of the video, and I hope that this music will help you relax and learn something new. When Lozanov first developed the method, he used the term Desuggestopedia to highlight its focusing on desuggesting or removing negative psychological barriers, such as anxiety and self-doubt. Desuggestopedia was seen as a somewhat confusing and yet often carried negative connotations because of the DE prefix, which might imply the process of undoing or negating. So to better change this, he renamed Desuggestopedia as Suggestopedia, focusing on the power of the positive suggestion to enhance learning.
Okay, so good morning everyone. I am Hazel, SEñORIN. So in simple terms, Desuggestopedia focuses on creating a relaxed learning environment, mainly using music or classical music and arts. So which help students to overcome the barriers and their limitations by using the calm atmosphere that Desuggestopedia is giving. So which creates a safe place for children or learners to come out of their shell or their comfort zone, which reduces the stress or the pressure that they were experiencing in the learning process. So we have criticisms. We have 4. So the first one is lack of scientific validation and practicality. So it lacked of foundational theories or evidences like in the field of educational psychology na makakapag-prove that Desuggestopedia is an effective or have a positive impact that children are learning from this method or approach. And then practicality. Yes, so for me, it is also one of the flaws for this method or approach since it requires time and effort to prepare the learning materials. And since it focuses on classical arts and music, ang hirap mag-provide ng attractive materials that will caught the children's attention and making sure that it won't overpower our lessons or topic. Kasi merong possibility or there would be a great possibility that music or the music that we choose may be a distraction to some learners. Kaya dapat medyo maingat tayo sa pagpili when it comes to the music or using music as your background in teaching or using the Desuggestopedia. So the second one is overemphasis on memorization. So some activities for the Desuggestopedia is vocabulary, readings, role plays, and drama, which doesn't promote too much critical thinking to children. And sometimes yung learning or yung understanding na napoprovide natin sa kanila is just for a short term. It means hindi gaanong tumatagal o hindi gaanong nagmamarka sa utak nila yung tinuturo natin since it doesn't promote critical thinking. or deeper understanding on the situation or the topic that we were teaching. And then the third one is cultural sensitivity. Yes, of course. So since it highlights music, especially classical music and arts, syempre we don't have the same backgrounds. So learners who are not exposed to the said music and arts may have difficulty grasping the information that we were relaying to them. And since the atmosphere and then the set mood what's different to the children and may consider it as also a distraction. So for the fourth and last one is lack of individuality. So the Desuggestopedia is like a one-size-fits-all approach which overlook the preferences in learning, cognitive styles, or cognitive levels of the children, which may lead na mahihirapan yung mga bata na makapag-cope up doon sa learning process since hindi nga yun yung preferred learning styles and meron silang iba-ibang cognitive levels and there are not or they may not learn the same way or in the same pace. So, setting aside the criticisms, we cannot deny that the Desuggestopedia have a great concept. And when it comes to providing comfort and relaxation in the learning process of the learners, which nakapag-reduce siya ng stress doon sa learning process nila. And which is also important. So, by integrating it with the other methods or mix and matching the method and approaches, we can be able to manage the classroom and providing a safe place to learn that is flexible, adaptable, and for students to easily grasp the lessons or the topics that we are trying to teach them and to make them understand how it is important to understand the lessons and considering while considering they are in their comfort zone, which reduces the stress or the pressure in their learning process.
Good day, everyone. I am Azie PADUAL, and I'll be discussing the principles of the Desuggestopedia. So let's start. So the first principle in the Desuggestopedia is joyful and relaxed environment. Why is it important in learning when it comes to the method of the Desuggestopedia to learn in a joyful and relaxed environment? Because in the Desuggestopedia, it is the classroom setting or the environment where the students are learning as the vital role in shaping the learnings of the student or the knowledge of the student. Is it important to have the learnings in an area where the student feels safe or they have the student or the classroom settings is, for example, it is physically pleasing and emotionally secure because they can feel the confidence and the learning is very open to everyone. So the second principle is conscious and paraconscious learning. Why did we say that in the Desuggestopedia it is a conscious and paraconscious learning? We can say that in the Desuggestopedia it is conscious and paraconscious learning kasi there are some learnings that the student are really aware on what they are learning. In paraconscious learning naman, they are learning but somehow they are not aware on it or they are not focused on the particular area of learning. Just like for example for the background music, the classroom decors, and how the teacher uses his or her strategies in teaching. So, kailangan na mag-learn ang bata in a conscious and paraconscious way doon sa Desuggestopedia. So, the third one is suggestion as a tool. So, suggestion as a tool, it is very vital sa Desuggestopedia dahil ginagamit ang mga suggestions doon sa learning ng bata or to incorporate the learning of the student. Kasi as yung suggestions, ginagamit siya for a change. Kasi unlike sa ibang methods, dito open for suggestions ang Desuggestopedia from the word itself, suggest. Kasi alam na ng facilitator of learning yung mga lackings, kung ano yung ng bata. So that's why the teacher can also have the change for that. Fourth one is confidence and ease. It is also a principle in the Desuggestopedia, the confidence and ease. Kasi, dito sa joyful and relaxed environment, we can observe that the student are finally, or they already feel the safeness or the safety inside the classroom. Of course, when you feel the safeness inside the environment or in the environment that you're learning, of course, you have the confidence and ease. And also in the third principle, the suggestion is a tool. Of course, when you are open to a suggestion or when the teachers are open for the suggestion, you can have the ease because they already know what the children or these learners wants. And of course, for the children, they can learn easily because the teacher can have the strategy on learning. Let's go to the fifth principle. So, the fifth principle that is, the Desuggestopedia is a peripheral learning. When we say peripheral learning, it somewhat connects to the second principle, which is the conscious and paraconscious learning. In peripheral learning kasi, there are some, yung factors na nakaka-affect sa learning ng bata na subconsciously natin alam. Or yung hindi natin somewhat alam, pero it contributes to our learning. For example, the posters na nasa ng ating environment sa classroom setting natin. Kahit hindi doon nakafocus yung learning natin in a particular lesson, pero somewhat it gives the information that we or the learners can gain knowledge. So let's move on to the sixth principle of the Desuggestopedia. It is the addressing the psychological barriers. It is somewhat connected to the the third principle of the Desuggestopedia, which is the suggestion is a tool. Kasi dito, once the student can address their lackings, what they are needing, and what does the teacher needs to do or improve, of course, they can address or they can express the psychological or the barriers that hinders their learning. So, this is one of the principles na nasa ng Desuggestopedia. Kasi yung bata, ng bata yung learnings niya in a way na hindi na nakaka-apekto yung psychological barriers niya. Or yung psychological barriers. So, the seventh or the last principle of the Desuggestopedia is the role-playing and the new identities. Of course, when the teacher conduct activities na makakapag ng bata. Isa na dito yung role-playing. Kasi yung role-playing, it is very vital pagdating sa mga bata. Kasi may na-explore nila yung sarili nila. They can see themselves in a different perspectives and a different roles na kailangan this is how it feels like dito in this kind of area or in this perspective. So the other topic will be discussed by Miss Rae Earth BELLO. So that will be all. Thank you.
So now let's proceed to the rules of teachers. Teacher is a facilitator of a positive learning environment. The teacher helps the students to feel more comfortable and motivated to participate and to learn without fear of being judged or embarrassed. Second is teacher is source of authority and security. The teacher maintains the discipline inside the classroom, and this makes students feel safe and secure, knowing that their teacher is in control and can guide them properly. Third one is the teacher is also a model for imitations. Why? Because teacher influence the students by knowing them or showing them how to act, react, speak, and behave. For example, when a teacher speak in English or speak proper English or uses polite expressions or showing respect to others, the students are likely to follow that kind of behavior, or magiging good influence ang mga teachers nila sa mga students. The last one for the roles of teacher is the teacher is a promoter of multisensory learning. Why? Because a good teacher uses many senses in teaching, like sight, hearing, touch, and movements. For example, this kind of approach helps to cater different learning styles and keeping their students engaged. Now, let's proceed to the materials. First is posters and visual aids. These are the tools like pictures, diagrams, flashcards, or charts that used during the lessons. They help the students visualize the context. For example, a poster showing parts of speech helps the students see and identify them clearly. Next is the costume and props. These are the materials used in activities like storytelling or role-playing. Costume helps the students get into activities or get into characters and props like toys, swords, or books. This makes the activities more engaging. The third is the games, songs, and role plays. These are interactive and fun strategies to teach lessons. Games help review and reinforce learning. Songs make memorization easier, especially sa mga younger learners. And role plays, it allows the students to cosplay their favorite characters or practice language in real life situations. That's all. Thank you.
Moving on to the 4 phases of Desuggestopedia by Georgi Lozanov. The first one is, of course, the introduction phase. In this phase, the teacher prepares students by introducing themselves to new material in a calm and non-threatening environment. Classical music is played in the background to create a relaxed atmosphere, and the teacher might use the theatrical techniques to engage students emotionally. The goal is to help learners set aside any fears or doubts about their ability to learn. Okay, so the second phase is concert session. It is a highly academic and engaging phase where the new material is presented in an entertaining or dramatic way. The teacher reads the text or dialogue aloud with musical accompaniment, using exaggerated intonations and gestures to make the learning experience more memorable. This phase helps students absorb the material, subconsciously activating their brain natural ability to learn. For the third phase is elaboration. Students work actively with the material. They engage in exercises, role-playing, or discussions that allow them to internalize the new language. Activities are designed to give students hands-on practice, reinforcing their understanding and improving their fluency. This stage helps solidify the learning in a relaxed, enjoyable manner. As for the fourth and the final phase, is called the production phase. It involves assessment, but not in a traditional way or stressful way. Here, learners demonstrate their acquired skills through practical applications, like conversations or projects. The focus is on fluency and confidence, rather than formal testing, ensuring that students can use the language effectively in real-life situations. So that is all for Desuggestopedia, and I hope you learned